think it's now fitting after the test defeat, the shortest test in history, that we now discuss the steps forward, the next step into the new generation, into the future. What is next for South Africa? Well, we know for this test team and this test unit, the next step will be the New Zealand tour. We have Coach Shukri's press conference that I would like to react to if the technology holds up and allows us to do so. I think I'm going to start off the show by just discussing that first and going through that so that we can get into the talk about the squad and about the players, because there's a couple of questions that Coach Shukri answered in his press conference yesterday that was related to the SA tour to New Zealand. So this show is going to be a lot about the way forward and the certain mentalities that have come around the team regarding the SA20 as well, and how that's affecting our cricket. All of those type of things we're going to be discussing on today's show. It is going to be a very interesting show about this, and it's very important for the next step within South African cricket. And I think that it's very important that we discuss all of this and also get to hear what Coach Shukri had to say after that test defeat. I think it's very important that we also recap that, as I wasn't able to do that on my review show. But before we get going, before we get started, please first subscribe to the channel. If you're new, click that notification bell for all future videos. We are so close to getting to that 5,000 mark. So please go ahead and help us get there. We are so close to getting to that 5,000 subscriber mark, and we really hope to get there very, very, very soon. I also want you guys to please subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. We are busy now currently with the SA20 edition that we will be getting to you very soon. So please be aware of when it is launched. Subscribe and you'll get an email directly to your inbox on when we have released the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. We've also launched something very exciting, and that is the Cricket Fanatics Magazine Business Corner. The reason why we started this is to help businesses market their business, products, and services effectively and affordably to a cricket audience. If you want to do so, if you're an entrepreneur, a club owner, if you are a coach, if you own an academy, if you are an entrepreneur, if you own a cricket shop or cricket business, we are the only viable option for you to market your business. So please get involved with the Cricket Fanatics Magazine Business Corner. The link is in the description, and I'll throw it on the screen right now for you guys to see as well. There it is. So please go ahead and follow us there and join the community. Start with a conversation with us, and we will see how we can help you in this crazy digital age that we live in right now. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. We are going to kick off with the press conference of Coach Shukri Conrad, and we're going to react to that. And then we'll get into the squad of the New Zealand tour, and we'll start discussing that as well. So see you guys on the other side. To Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we're going to be talking about the New Zealand tour. It's all around that. We're also going to react to Coach Shukri's press conference because he mentioned certain things and gave certain answers regarding the tour as well. So we're going to cover that on today's show and get straight into it right away. There are certain scenarios that have led up to this moment. It's all discussed in the press conference. So bear with me. We're going to go through the press conference. It's also a reaction to yesterday's defeat. I mean, we're sitting here now. It's a nice time to reflect and have a little bit of an aftermath after that fastest defeat or quickest defeat in shortest defeat in test history. So there's a lot to go through here. Let's react to Coach Shukri's press conference and see what he had to say. And also when it comes to the SA tour to New Zealand, what he had to say as well. So let's get into it.
sorry. You obviously know Newlands really, really well, and yesterday Ashwell spoke about never seeing a Newlands pitch like this before. What do you think is the reason that it played the way it did, and what did you think of the surface?
Well, I thought I knew it very well. Um, yeah, never ceases to amaze you when you come here, you know. Yeah, that was completely out of character. Um, you gather all the information through either your experience having coached here, players having played here, speak to various people, and then you stack up accordingly. Um, and then, yeah, everything goes out the window when you encounter a surface like this. I don't know what people are wanting me to come out and say, whether it was a rubbish wicket or not. Um, but you only need to look at the scores. You only need to look at, I think Neil asked the question earlier, 1.5-day test matches. You only need to look at the way they chased this, a little target of 80. And it's a sad state when you need more luck than skill to survive in a test match. All the ethics and values of test cricket go out the window. And this was just a slugfest, a slogathon, and whoever was luckier. But take nothing away from India. They were superb. But you ain't going to win too many test matches scoring 50 odd. Lowest total ever, and we've got to own it. And we own it. But yeah, it wasn't great. Both the cricket and the wicket.
Yeah, the cricket wasn't great, the wicket wasn't great. But was that an excuse? Is it a good enough excuse? Is the question that fans are asking. I think there was a combination of many things. A lot of people might say that maybe the coach should have asked for a flatter wicket, even if they managed to go ahead and score big runs on the surface. If it was a flatter wicket, they could have played for a draw and then ended up winning the series still and get the points. But obviously, you're going to want to go for a 2-0 victory and to silence India. So I can get that mentality as well. But I mean, the strange thing for me was the wicket, because I've seen the same groundsman prepare wickets for the 4-day games, and almost all of the games went to the 4 days. It was good for batting, good for bowling. There was a little bit of spin later on. It was a very balanced wicket. So it shocks me that he prepared a wicket like this for a test match. Because if I can see him produce a wicket like this for 4-day games, why is it that he couldn't do it for this game at Newlands against India and South Africa? It is a bit puzzling for me from that perspective. Because if he was able to do it from a South African perspective, and he was able to do it for a domestic perspective, why couldn't he do it from an international point of view? Now, yes, the wicket was bad, but I also think that the approach, when we realized the wicket wasn't playing the way it should, why not then change the approach of batting? I think a lot of our batters threw their wickets away, played at deliveries they shouldn't have. They should have had maybe a little bit more of a patient approach, and that should have maybe been the way forward. I mean, a lot of deliveries were played at that shouldn't have been played at, that could have been left, and the defensive mentality wasn't necessarily there, or the shot selection for from a defensive perspective wasn't really there. So it is a little bit of a shock at the way this match went about things, and how things unfolded. But South Africa needed to play better. We could have played better. 55 is this wasn't a 55 wicket, definitely not. And like Coach Shukri said, they owning that.
Good day, Coach. I just want to ask, so you just talked about the values, etc., of Test cricket. I felt today that Aiden Markram and Rabada's wickets were very cheaply when they lost their wicket because they rushed it. But the one thing about Test cricket is staying out in the middle and taking that patience, waiting for the good ball, take a run here and there. And I felt they went for the big shots. Do you think in today's time, the patience of Test cricket is still a value that you guys strive for?
I'm going to respectfully disagree with most of what you said, but I don't think we've got enough time to go into all of that. But often the surfaces you play on makes you doubt your technique. It makes you doubt how you approach the game, and that's where I felt the game was from as early as the first couple of overs of the match. I thought Aiden was phenomenal today. Yes, he left certain balls well. He chanced his arm. And you'd have noticed he hit quite a few sixes, which is not normally par for the course in Test cricket. Um, but yeah, we still try and the game has moved on. We lose a lot of batsmanship because of T20 cricket. Batters like to feel bat on ball nowadays. Just chatting to Raul Dravid this morning. And yeah, but we want to get away from the phrase that there's a ball with your name on it. We don't enjoy it, but on this wicket, you actually felt that there was a ball with your name on it. And that often tends you to play in a certain way, and that's why we batted the way we did.
Telford?
Shuku, you've been part of cricket for a long time in all sorts of roles. I'm not trying to say you're old. But
Look, a lot of the stroke play, I have to say that some of the wickets, the way they fell, were of poor stroke play. The question was aimed at KG and Aiden, and I think at that time, I mean, we kind of needed us to go out there and play. Um, but those are the things that we have to look at when it comes to the situation of the match situation. But other players, I think, were more of the problem the way they lost their wicket, not leaving deliveries. I see someone saying the volume is soft. I can't change that. This is the video that we received from Cricket South Africa. I can't change the video's volume. It is as it is at the moment. So I apologize for that. I'm not in control of that. I don't shoot the video at the press conferences. This is all done by Cricket South Africa and it's sent to us. So this is how it was delivered to us, and there's no way I could change it. I tried to change it and upload it that way, but it's distorted the audio too much, and you couldn't hear anything really when I did that. So I'm apologize for the one that I uploaded. On my side, it sounds great. I don't know if that's got to do with a Mac thing and a Windows thing. I don't know. But on my side, it sounds quite loud. So I do apologize for that. But this is the video that we receive from Cricket South Africa themselves. I don't shoot these videos, so I apologize for that. Let's continue to see what Coach Shukri says.
so I think you're well placed to answer the question of whether the kind of surface we saw out there is symptomatic of a way a place like Newlands is possibly going down and not being maintained as well as it should be.
Yeah, I think I'm best placed to talk maybe about the cricket surface, but I'm certainly not best placed to chat around whatever else is going on here. I worked here many years ago. Yeah, and I moved on. But with respect, Albert, I'm not in a position to discuss the goings on between the walls here. So, but the wicket, yeah, I think everybody knows it wasn't great.
Coach Shook, there's been a lot of critiques in terms of the test squad that you announced for New Zealand, with the likes of the Australian great Steve Waugh making a comment on that squad. I mean, what are your thoughts on to the critiques that? Yeah.
I don't think Steve Waugh's going to really care what I say, but I love how everybody outside of South Africa have become experts on South African cricket. Our hand's been forced. I think everybody understands that the SA20 League has to happen. Yes, there was a cock up, sorry, a balls up, or somebody got it wrong with the scheduling, and this is why we find ourselves in. But SA20 has to happen because it is the lifeblood, and it's going to be the lifeblood of South African cricket. If it doesn't happen, we won't have Test cricket anyway. So it's unfortunate that it is the way it is, but we all saw the value of the league last year, and I've said it from day one that we've got to find a way to coexist with the league. We've got to coexist with leagues around the world to ensure the sustainability, and yeah, maybe their powers higher up that also need to start taking a few stances in terms of where Test cricket sit for nations outside of, shall we say, the big three.
Cool, we're going to go Neil.
So that is a very important point there that was made. Now, there is definitely, we knew when we saw the schedule of the SA20 how we tried to change things. I know that Cricket South Africa tried to negotiate with New Zealand and New Zealand refused to negotiate to change the date. I mean, they could have moved it maybe a week later, I would say, and then they could have still had the SA20 and still have the players go play Test cricket perhaps. But the scheduling for this SA20 was a bit poor. And who takes responsibility for that? There's people that needs to take responsibility for that because our Test cricket is going to suffer as a result. Now, Coach Shukri's hands are tied in this particular instance because there's no way that he can do anything about it. He needs to just adapt, and he's been dealt the cards, and he needs to play the cards that he was dealt. Now, it affects us heavily. We saw now recently, even with this SA tour to New Zealand on the last, just before when the squad was announced, Tony Rizorzi was announced to play for the Durban Super Giants, so he was out of the squad. So now we lose another player to the SA20 on the last minute before the squad was announced. So there's a lot of players that might not even play SA20 games. They might be sitting on the bench and there are test players that won't go. So that's crazy that this is happening. And it is going to affect us heavily. But on the same flip side, we needed to find a way to coexist with this, like Coach Shukri said, because we have to be able to find a way to coexist with the SA20 in a way that it doesn't affect our cricket significantly. Now, we do need the money. Yes, Cricket South Africa needs the money, and the SA20 is going to bring that in. But you can't do it at the expense of the best format of the game, which is Test cricket. So that is a bit of a crazy one. I don't did not like that at all. But it is what it is at the moment, and we have to just adapt to that. I'll go through the test squad that's going to New Zealand, and I'll give my thoughts on the players that have been selected, and whether they are going to be able to at least put up a fight or not is going to be interesting to see. Lawrence saying, so who got the schedule wrong? Because that's a pretty damning statement from Shukri. Really want Yanaman in the SC26 text. Khalid, it's been a while. Bring some Proteas to the show. I will try. I feel for Shukri. It's clear to see he wants more test cricket to be played. He must be so frustrated at the moment. 100%. He must be frustrated at the moment.
To Kaniso and then wrapping with Zahir.
Shucks, this is purely logistics. There's no tricks or innuendo here. What are your plans for the squad? Are you going to get the squad for New Zealand? Are you going to have a sort of a hit out here before you go, or when do you leave? What are your plans?
Yeah, so what we've done is I pretty much used the A side tour against the West Indies A as part of that prep. We're going to be leaving for New Zealand a few days earlier so that we can prepare there. Yeah, so I think we leave around the 19th with the first test only on the 5th of Feb, so it gives us
On my birthday.
to prepare in Christchurch. Yeah, I think we might have to practice a lot of our man-cadding skills. No, only joke. Neil, it's still South Africa that's going there. We don't sing a different national anthem. We certainly don't wear a different blazer or anything like that. It is South Africa, and we're going to give it our best shot. I hate the fact that South Africa go as underdogs because I don't think we ever should be underdogs in anything we do, but we do go as underdogs. Let's not fool ourselves. And anything we come back with, whether it is a draw, if we sneak a win, that's going to be massive for us. And it's going to be great for a lot of cricketers who go out there for the first time. Who knows? And I think that's going to be our little throwaway line. Who knows?
Do you?
Yeah, so there's definitely uncertainty there from Coach Shooks. Trying to sneak a win, words used like that, and who knows. This is a team that we don't know much about, and that's unfortunate. There's a lot of uncertainties about this team and about the squad. A lot of them are going to be making debuts in this test matches in New Zealand against New Zealand, which is going to be a tough ask. So I think that given the circumstances, going a week earlier to prepare for the New Zealand conditions is a smart move. It's the biggest advantage that he can possibly give the team and the players at least. But we'll go through the squad now a little bit later after this press conference. I see people saying they can't hear. I don't understand because it's very loud on my side and clear. I don't understand why this format of the video only plays on certain devices. It's playing fine on Apple and Mac. Maybe I think it's not playing on other devices clearly, but when I checked it and I beforehand it was playing quite loudly. So I apologize for that. This video is not mine. Like I said, it's sent to us by CSA. So it's as I get it, and I've tried to up the volume and export the file, but it came out distorted and horribly. So this is the best I can do with regards to the volume. I can't change the volume of the video. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Within this team that played here, there's a lot of inexperience. How do you go about ensuring that they park what is taking place here and it doesn't, affect them long term from a batting perspective?
Yeah, it was like I had so much pleasure in announcing Stubber was debuting, and then I apologized to him after the game for giving him a debut on a wicket like this. I think the message is quite simple. It's not going to get any more difficult than this. Whether you go to the subcontinent and it spins, we know what you're in for, so you prepare accordingly. And that's all us as coaches and players want. When you know or you have a reasonable idea of what to expect, you can prepare accordingly. This was nowhere near any of that. But yeah, for the young players, I think they'll take heart from the fact that they were involved in what has always been an iconic test match against one of the top teams in the world in a series where we were 1-0 up. And then we got beat. And I think the only thing for them is that it won't get more difficult than that. That is really that's been my message to the young batters. Obviously from a bowling perspective, it's going to get harder than what they just bowled on.
Cool. Can you saw?
Yeah, so at least we know that he apologized to Stubbs for giving him his debut on a wicket like that. It's going to be a hard learning curve for him. I mean, me personally, when I saw the team lineup, I thought that we would straight swap Pavuma for Stubbs, and Stubbs would come in at 7. I didn't expect him to be debuted at 4, and KP being dropped. I thought that they would have played KP and batted with 7 batters and put Stubbs into the team. And then obviously Lungingidi straight in for Gerald Coetzee or Keshav Maharaj, dependable on the spinner vibe. But he did what he did, and yeah, Stubbs didn't have a great debut. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with regards to that in the going forward.
And then to hit rep.
I mean, Shooks, what do you say to the groundsman? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it could be his first test. A pitch like this is dished up. What do you say to them? Even if it's a conciliatory message to them.
Look, I know Brahm, and Brahm's a good guy, and sometimes good guys do bad things as well, or get things wrong, right? And this doesn't turn Brahm into a rubbish groundsman, just like innings of 55 all that doesn't turn us into a rubbish cricket team. I mean, 5 days ago we thrashed them. But Braham's a good guy. I'm sure there'll be a lot of learnings for him. And yeah, I'll go across there at some stage. I might even pop in here tomorrow and just maybe have a water with him and wish him well going forward and just see what his thoughts are. I think we always, it's easy to rubbish certain things, but we've got a feel for groundsmen, especially down in Cape Town where we've got wind to contend with. Obviously, he wants to get it so right that maybe the wicket was a little bit over-prepared. But yeah, I'll just like cricketers and coaches, we've got to take it on the chin. I think that will probably be my message to Brahm as well. Just take it on the chin and move forward.
So here to conclude?
Sure, just a twofold. 10 days ago, would you have taken 1-1 if it was offered to you? And secondly, in terms of Proteas teams in the past, we've seen them having quite an influence on grounds and groundsmen, and you seem to have taken a bit of a backward step. Is that in your approach? Is that something that you like doing, or is that you prefer? Do we live in a world where you can go to a groundsman and say, "Look here, we're 1-0 up. We want a flatty. We want a bat for 5 days."
Yeah, I'll take the second question first. I'm not the expert on wickets. I don't know how to prepare a wicket. And chatting to Brian Beloy up in Centurion, and similarly with Bram a couple of weeks ago when I was here for a first class game, and he said, and they asked, what are you looking at? And I say, well, just give us a typical wicket that we're going to get here. So similarly, Supersport Park, give us a Centurion wicket so we can prepare properly. And similarly, Newlands, you know, I don't want to be doctoring wickets. We've got young batters that need to learn their trade. They need to find their way in international cricket. And playing on wickets like this certainly doesn't do it for them. So no, I'm not an expert, so I'm never ever going to, I never did, never will prescribe to groundsmen, because ultimately they've also got jobs. Would I have taken a 1-1? There's certain things in life we never know, and that's one of it. But I wasn't taking 1-1 after going 1-0 up. Yeah, we've got to start thinking like champions, and it came as no surprise to me that we went 1-0 up in Centurion. This has come as a shock to the system, but I'm not going to lay the blame entirely on the doorstep of our playing 11, or the makeup of our team, or our tactics, any of that. It's been a combination of a really red-hot India that were desperate to come back, and then obviously, conditions.
So conditions and a red hot India. I do think it had to do. I don't think tactics necessarily, but I do think it had to do with application in certain aspects of the game. Now, it's easy for us to say that sitting here as fans watching the game. It's a lot easier for us to sit here and say that. But when we out there in the middle and we have to face those conditions, that's a whole different story altogether. I know that the three Western Province boys in the team have played on this wickets before. David Bedingham, Kyle Verreynne, Tony De Zorzi. The style of cricket that Western Province play is in a very attacking brand of 4-day cricket. It's been implemented this season, and they go out there and they play shots. The wickets have been prepared at Newlands in a way that it allows batters that freedom, but also gives something in certain sessions for bowlers too. It has been quite balanced all along, and that's why I don't understand how the groundsman could have gotten it wrong. If he had to prepare a 4-day wicket, it would have been perfect for this particular test match. I think both sides would have been in a good position to try and win the match and to dominate certain periods. Newlands, normally in the first hour, first session, the ball does nip around with the new ball, and you have to see that kind of off, and then once you're in, you can really go. But these batters had to really survive for more than an hour, just an hour in the morning. It was hot. So on top of that, and it still didn't alter the wicket too much. So yeah, a combination of many things, I guess, is true. So let me just get into some of the comments. Okay, you guys are talking about the team already. So I do have the team. Where is it now? I do have the team here for you guys, the squad at least. Now, remember, Tony De Zorzi's been removed from the squad, the initial squad. So he's not in the initial squad that we thought was going to take place. We've got our batters in David Bedingham, Clyde Fortuin, Zubair Hamza, Keegan Peterson, Reiner van Tonder, and Kaya Zondo. We've got Neil Brandt, who's classified as an all-rounder, but he's an opening batter as well. Ruanda Swat, Mkhlali Mampungwana. We've got Dane Piet, Sean Van Berg, and then Sipho Mareki, Dwan Olivier, and Dane Patterson. When it comes to the lineup, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with regards to the openers. Neil Brandt, we know he's going to open, but Tony De Zorzi was supposed to open with him. Now, there is only 14 people in the squad, 14 players in the squad. But there could be an open spot here available for someone to be called up a little bit later on. that is a possibility that they could call up one of the openers in South Africa. Uh, there are not many currently in great form other than probably Eddie Moore. You could say maybe Joshua Richards. To an extent, you could say also Sarel Evia. The guys at Boland aren't very much in form at the moment, so that could be a difficult decision to make with regards to whether they're going to call up a opener or not. The other option over there as well is to play Reinhard van Tonder as an opener. He has opened in 4-day cricket before, and it is a role that he is quite familiar with, but it's going to be a tough ask to debut as an opener against New Zealand. It's going to be crazy from that perspective to even try that and brave that out. The opportunity over here, I'm very proud of Bellingham that he decided to turn down a possibility of going to SA20 to be part of this particular side. From what I've heard, I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard. You've got a debut here for Clyde Fortuin, Reina van Tonder, Neil Brandt, Rwanda Swat, Mkhlani Mapungwana, Sean van Berg, Tsepo Moreke. They're all going to be making their debuts. So it's a list. It's like a record for the most amount, probably most amount of debuts made in a test match. We're probably going to have to be reporting about that. If I had to look at this on this particular squad, and I have to pick an 11 for New Zealand, if it's a normal regular wicket in New Zealand, sometimes you don't even need a spinner there. But it would be Neil Brandt from this particular squad. It will be Neil Brandt and Reiner van Tonder to open from this squad. If they don't call up an opener. At number 3, I would go with Zubair Hamza. At number 4, I'd go with David Bedingham. At number 5, I'd go with Keegan Peterson. At number 6, I'd go with Clyde Fortuin, who's our wicketkeeper. At number 7, I'll go with Rwanda Swart. At number 8, I'll go with Mkhlani Mapungwana. And then you pick your all 3 seamers, Tsepo Moreke, Dwan Olivier, and Dane Patterson, or you bring in a guy like Dane Pitt for either Dwan Olivier or Tsepo Moreke, I think, because I think Dane Patterson needs to play. So that would be my 11 if I have to go into it for this particular team. So let me get into your live chat and let me get into your comments and see what you guys have had to say so far. I'm going to go a little bit further up to see. Lawrence, the CSA in their statement did say this won't happen in the future again, but when we look to the next year's schedule, the SA20 clashes with the Pakistan series. Very, very true. Zubair or Peterson, who is better at 3-4? I think King Peterson should bat at 5, and I think Zubair Hamza should bat at 3. That's just my opinion on the two players, because I mean Zubair's batted at 3 already for the Proteas as well. So as Keegan Peterson, and I do understand that, but I think I would like to see Keegan at 5. Hopefully sanity prevails and we add Eddie Moore into the squad to complete the 50-man squad. We need an opener with Brandt. I don't want Van Tonder to be thrown into the deep end by opening. Me neither. I hope that they do. If Van Tonder opens, then Hamza 3, KP 4. Gaurav says CSI said series won't clash future, but in FTP we face Pakistan at home during the SA20. Let's see what we do with regards to that, if there will be any changes made there. As who will open Bavuma and Markram? Not for this series. Obviously, the SA20 players are not available for this particular team. SA20 clashing with Pakistan series, we know that now. Bavuma and Markram won't part of New Zealand series, none of the SA20 as well. Do you think Zubair is warranted a place in the 11? This will probably be his last shot. Based on his form now, currently for the Lions, he does deserve a call up. I mean, he got a call up to this test squad and didn't get a chance to play now in this particular match. But in this particular team that they sent into New Zealand, definitely deserves his call up. Kani says his 11 is Brandt, Moore, Moore's not in the squad, so if Moore wasn't available, what would you do? Brandt, Moore, Fantonda, Hamza, KP, Bellingham, Munsami. But Munsami is not in the squad either. Pitt, Patterson, Moreki, and Olivier. So, Kanye, I'd like to know your team with the current squad. Tex says, Khalid, the Dutch are drawn in our group in the T20 World Cup. Yeah, I can read out the group at the moment. So, Group A is India, Pakistan, Ireland, Canada, and the USA. Group B is England, Australia, Namibia, Scotland, and Oman. Group C is New Zealand, the West Indies, Afghanistan, Uganda, and Papua New Guinea. And Group D, South Africa, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, the Netherlands, and Nepal. So we've gotten the Netherlands to deal with again in our T20 World Cup. Kesh was just watching the match like us, Siskani. Munsami is not in the squad. Yep, I know Moore is also not there. Tushar says Reinhardt is Neil Brandt, Hamza, KP, Bellingham, De Swart, Fortuin, Piet, Moreki, Olivier, and Patterson. Bowling is not at the level they have to do hard to get New Zealand batters. Texas, he thinks more will be there. What do you think of Dezozi? Is he a bit overrated? I do not think he's overrated. I think that he's only had 4 test matches, so we need to be a little bit patient with him and see how he settles in. This was a tough wicket for everybody, bar Aiden Markram. So it is a bit of a anomaly, I would say. It's an outlier situation. I mean, all the Indian batters struggled as well on this wicket. So it's a situation that we can look at and kind of brush off. Tony looked really good against in Centurion for a while and then lost his way. So I think he needs more chances. And that's why I'm so disappointed that he's now in the SA20 from a test perspective, because New Zealand tour would have been nice for him to really get into the swing of things. And we've seen in domestic cricket, Tony might not score consecutive hundreds or consecutive half centuries, but he'll score you big ones to win you games. And I think that's what South Africa is maybe looking at. But it might be a problem down the line if Markram can't improve his consistency, because what helped South Africa in the past is that Dean Elgar was pretty consistent when he was in top form. He would score regular runs, and then the other opener could be more sporadic. But we can't have both openers be sporadic. It's going to cause a lot of problems for South Africa if that is the case. We're going to need partnerships to be built on a regular to set the foundation for the rest of our batters. Rickleton was dropped on current form, but he still averages 37 this season, whereas Fortuin averages 19 and Munsami averages 55. Shouldn't have picked Fortuin, says Kani. Dezozi has been poor in tests, averages only 20. Yeah, but like I said, it's only been 4 tests. I think we need to be a little bit patient with him. I mean, for example, Dean Elgar got a pair on his debut. I mean, and then fought back. So not everybody's going to have a very quick start to life in Test cricket. Some people might take some time to adapt. Khalid, the WT 2024 draw is the World Cup 2020 2020 draw is out. All great games are at New York, though. India versus Pakistan, Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh, Asia versus Netherlands. I've read out the thing. Lawrence is realistic with the squad that's picked. Brand van Tonda, Hamza, KP, Bellingham, Zondo, Fortuin, Viljoen, Pitt, Olivier, and Patterson. I don't think Viljoen is in the team, in the squad. Neil Brandt, David Bellingham, Rwanda Swart, Clyde Fortuin, Zubair Hamza, Sipho Moreki, Mkhlane Mapungwana, Dwan Olivier, Dane Patterson, Keegan Peterson, Dane Pitt, Reina van Tonda, Sean van Berg, Kaya Zondo. Yeah, Viljoen is not in the side, in the squad. Boreki for Yun. Okay, cool. Um, Dick says, I think Neil Brandt will make multiple hundreds. Let's see. Lawrence says Eddie Moore should come in so it makes up the 15-man squad. Aiden averages 55 in Test, 51 in ODIs, and 40 in T20s with a strike rate of 160 rate, a strike rate of 160 last year. Simply our player of the year. Chatil says Kashile should have been there for Forte, but Forte might his average overall might not be that great, but recent form he's been in really good form recently. Should call Moore scored 200s this season. Moore and Totoli are the most informed openers, correct. Um, Eve is in SA20, yeah. He is. Khalid, what has Clyde done to get the score up? What does he average in first class cricket? It's not first class cricket overall. I think they looked at his record this season. And that's the reason why they've gone with him. He did really well in the SAA games though. Um, when he was selected now, he did pretty well there. Scored quite a bit of runs. So I think that also played its part in his selection for this particular series. His keeping behind the stumps is also really, really good. He's very solid behind the stumps. He's got a very good wicket keeping coach where he's at the moment. So let me just read to you his stats for this season so far. He has moved around a bit as well, which affected him as in his career. Some players mature a lot later in their careers as well. I'm not making any excuses, but on the top run scorers list, out of the people that they could have selected, Clive Fontaine is the highest, has the most amount of runs out of everyone in 4-day cricket from the guys that are not in the SA20. Matthew Brzezinski is at top with 727. Jordan Herman is 618. This was last season, 2022-2023 season, right? Calvarena was 535. And then Tony Rizorzi was 507 with an average of 101. And then Clive Fontaine was fifth on the list with 501 with an average of 55, 102 50s. That was last season's record. So they've taken last year, and then you've got Diego Rosier with 468, and then Neil Brandt. So out of the top batters that are not in the SA20, Clive Fontaine topped it last year with regards to that. Then if you look at the record this season for the 2023-2024 season, 2023-2024 season, yes. Let me just read out the stats so far for that. Come on, don't take too long. So Clyde averaged 55 last season. And this season, hasn't done that great. So in 4 games, he hasn't scored any hundreds or 50s, and the average is 19. So this season, he hasn't been that great. But for the SAA, on the SAA tour, he did okay. So, yeah, I think that's also, the selection has also got to do with the coach's familiarity with the player as well, I think. Because, and they're obviously looking at seasons, more than one season after each other, and taking that into account when it comes to his selection. For SAA, he got a 50 against the West Indies. Actually didn't do too well in the rest of the games. So from the guys that were available in the keeper batters, they've gone with Clive Fontaine. I think last season had a lot to do probably with that. Totally averages 51 so far this season. Bowling is very weak, says Gorav. How is Zonda selected when we have seen enough of him already? That was a bit of a shocking selection for me. Um, those dumbheads could pick 7 batters. We need to accept that 6-4 split is not working. 7-4 split way to go, says Goraf. In certain conditions, yes. Chatil says, how is Zonda selected again and again? Should have picked Jean Duplessis if they are picking tried and tested failures. I don't know how we keep on picking Kyle Zondo. Our captain is going to carry drinks in SA20 while we are playing New Zealand. Why do they keep selecting players who haven't worked out? I think for New Zealand series, we should go with a 7-4 split. Pick us your 6 best batters with Fortain at 7. Batting looks good or better than current team, but bowling is wank, such as shame. Lawrence says Group D is the group of death. That's for the WT20. It looks like a very, very tough group. Chatil says the ICC should have done a random draw if cricket was a serious sport instead of fixing draws to get revenue. That groups for the World Cup was definitely not drawn. The ICC set it out that way, says Lawrence. Khalid, I don't know why DSG even picked Azozi. He's not a T20 player by any means. You see, when players do well against India, we see it in the IPL. When players do well against India, they get picked. Nandeberger now in the IPL. So this SA20, obviously Indian owned. When they saw that, they probably said, "Hey, this boy must play," and have now taken him away from our test team who needed him. Aiden has 7 test hundreds, while our current batters combined have 300s. Pavuma 2, Kyle 1. Keshaf says, can Jordan Herman get a chance in place of Alga in the future? If he can continue his form like he has recently, he's backing up this season, his form with last year's form. If he can continuously do that, I'm pretty sure that he will get his call up very soon. What's your take on the selection for Tane selection on New Zealand tour? Will he be in the 11? I think he will be in the 11. They've shown that from the SAA side. Until I looked at the records of a year, when it comes to wicket-keeping batters, I thought that he was the best option regarding the ones that are available. If you look at the last 2 seasons, that was my thought with who is available at the moment. There aren't other wicket keepers in this top list that have performed last year and this year. Okay, Kashile is there. He could have been selected. I think that perhaps they could have gone that direction as well. I'm surprised that they didn't. But out of the other wicketkeeper batters that are available, Clyde Fontaine is the next option. I would possibly have gone with someone like Klashile, given that he's having a decent season this season, a better season at least than Clyde. But you have to look at Clyde's last 2 seasons. Last season and the season before were pretty decent. So I think that's what they looked at. He's having a bad season this season, but so is the whole Boland team. Out of the bowlers not picked in SA20, do you think any bowler was unlucky to miss out from the squad? Out of the bowlers, I think these bowlers that were selected, maybe Bardwan Olivier, I think he's been selected based on being part of the test side. I think Bayes Swanepoel was a bit unlucky to miss out. But I think Bayes got picked up now. Did he not get picked up now in the SA20? I think he might have gone picked up now in the SA20. Yeah, he got picked up for the Sunrisers, I think. So initially it would have been him, but he got picked up by SA20 now. So I can't throw him into the mix as one of the options. So yeah, he got picked up in SA20. When I look at the other bowlers, I don't really think so, to be honest. I think of what is available. I think I think the best have been selected out of the ones that are available. Because I mean, I think even the Capitals, I think they bought the Pavilon, which should have been another option. So I don't think there's many other bowlers. Why did we select Pitt and Van Berg, who are 37, 38? How is that future planning? Because there aren't many spinners. The other option would have been Sia Maima. Clyde's break over the past 2 seasons have been good. Yes. Fortuin failed a game, Khalid. He got 150. Yeah, he only got 150. We are going to select players who will have 2, 3 good seasons. What about players who are doing well since years? There aren't many. Oshile, last 5 knocks, 34, 56, 100, 641. He averages 37 in first class cricket overall. 2. Blatant injustice. Not if you look over the last 3 seasons. Clyde played a lot better than him in the last 3 seasons if you take it over those 3 seasons. You need a solid keeper in New Zealand as well. On keeping alone, he's probably the best domestically keeping alone. New Zealand conditions can be tricky. He is the best keeper out of the ones that are available, definitely. Coaches have selection power, yet they are making some mistakes that selectors did. Before I made keeping statement, I did say why he may have been selected. Coach Shukri needs to pick players who are proven, not who he has worked with only or he likes, but he is picking players that are proven. He's not only picking players that he likes. There are some players that are proven that he has picked. He's done it even in the test side. That's not to me. Koshili averages 37 versus Fortuin 27 overall, and Fortuin averages 19 the season. Make it make sense. Fortuin is playing a lot more games. And like I said, over the last 3 seasons, Clyde Fortuin has done well. I think that's the mentality when it comes to that. Khalid, who is your favorite to win SA20? I think my Cape Town this year under Robbie P are going to look a lot more dangerous. Brian says, do you think Riza did not play SA20? He would be on tour to New Zealand. I doubt it because I doubt he would have been. I think maybe I doubt he would have been. Munsami averages 55 this season, Khalid, and last season. Rivaldo Munsami. He's a good player and his time will come. I really think his time will come down the line. He needs to just continue doing what he's doing. You can't pick a player only on one good season. That's my point. You have to look at their record. And the coaches are always going to pick players that have done it for more than one season, not only one season. What's the obsession with picking players on 1 or 2 seasons? People with successful body of work over a period of time always works. But that's the point that I just made. You can't just pick a player just based on one season. You have to look at their record over a period of time. And that's why I said Clyde Fortuin compared to Oshile. Clyde Fortuin's last 3 seasons. This season he's had a poor season. But over the last 3 or 4 seasons, he's been a solid player in 4-day cricket. Yeah, I noticed that already. Who opens with Brandt in New Zealand? I think if they don't call up an opener, then it will probably be Reinhard van Tonder. I don't think we should take the squad selection for the series too seriously. It's clearly makeshift, as we know. We already know the first team guys will be straight back in anyway. Exactly. Is the SA International summer over? I see no home fixtures left this summer. Nothing left. There's definitely an opening spot available with Alga in retirement, and I also think there might be openings at the middle order as well, as we could keep a spot, although I think Kyle should play versus Bangladesh. Yeah, Kyle needs to sort out some technical issues. I feel I don't see the same approach in Test cricket that I see at domestic level. I feel like he becomes too flat-footed in Test cricket when he plays. That's how it seems, at least in from what I've seen. So I would like to see him move his feet a little bit more. I think he gets stuck in his crease too much and on his back foot, and he plays at balls that are plays with his hands away from his body and doesn't move his feet. And I think that needs to be something that he needs to work on. I think this tour will be good for SA in the batting front. A lot of batting options will get the opportunity, and all those batsmen are solid. Shukri dropped Ryan for averaging 37 on this one season. But it's not only on this one season. I think it's also because of Kyle's incredible form over the last four. Riza hardly plays four-day cricket anymore, says Lawrence. Aiden is high class. Neil is class, says Otto. Why last 3 seasons, Khalid? That's the metric for only the last 3 seasons. Why not the last 5 seasons? Well, if we go last 5 seasons, the majority of those players aren't even around anymore. So if you go over the last 5 seasons, then a lot of the players that we want to pick are not going to be are not available to be picked. More Richards should have been selected open with Brandt. Cal needs to take his chance. Otherwise, Rickerton or Klaasen needs to keep wicket. Brian says, do you think our batters are exposed in Test cricket like Indian tour, provided we don't have the depth of quick bowlers at domestic level? I think they do get exposed a little bit because of the. Yes. I think they do get exposed a little bit in Test cricket because the quality is not the same. We do see certain batters being a little bit out of their depth and not being able to cope with extreme bowling conditions. When the ball moves around a bit, we've seen our batters struggle, and there is a lack of consistent quality throughout every single team. And that's why the SA 8 tours are so important. I think this SA 8 tours now against India was so important because the bowlers that India took were decent bowlers. They are quality bowlers as well. So these 8 tours are so important because that's when you really get tested at a level above domestic cricket. Is Merrick Brett in any team in SA20? He should have been selected for New Zealand tour. I'll bring some Proteas onto the show. I'll try my best. I'll ask for some interviews. It's been tough these days to try to get them on the show. It hasn't been that easy with all the tours that have been happening, and cricket that has been happening, and World Cup and all of that. That's why it's been so tough. We need to give some pitch like we did against India in domestic. Let's not go into the series with a high expectations, guys. We'll set ourselves up to fail if we do that. We need to expect a realistic outcome. New Zealand on top side, in their conditions will be tough, 100%. We need to this. What I would like to see is certain players put up their hand and perform so that they can knock on the door for the main test side. Khalid, are you going to do a team preview for SA20? Might be great with the likes of Werner and Paul if they are available. I will ask them if they are available. I'm not sure if Werner can still do these type of things now that he's with Victoria Capitals. on their team. So he was part of the auction team. So I'll have to ask him. Ravi says he's available, so I will talk to the guys and we'll do a SA20 review before the SA20 starts. Definitely, my focus will rather be on the player performances than team performances, says Lawrence. In fact, Uncle Ravi can come on now. Uncle Ravi, about to shut down and close the show, so it's the end of the show. But yeah, we will do a show very soon with Uncle Ravi. We will do a preview show, and I'll get him on the show, and I'll talk to the other guys to get him on the show as well. I'll see where they are at. They have very busy lives. But thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell for all future videos. We're on the brink of 5,000 subscribers, so please help us get there very, very quickly. And also subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. You see, guys, it was too hot yesterday. My laptop overheated, and that's why I couldn't give you a full show without any hassles. Today, I was able to. It's later at night, and it's a lot cooler outside. So, in the room that I'm in, is not as hot. So, my laptop survived this particular show for a whole hour, including showing you the press conference. So, thanks a lot for sticking by me. Thanks a lot for staying on the show and coming on and viewing it, regardless of all the technical difficulties yesterday. I'll see you guys all again very, very soon for a daily show. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening and your weekend. Peace out, everyone.